Good afternoon. What I've been discussing recently is what are you going to do with your calves once you've got your property bought, your homestead established, you went out and you bought yourself some cows, now you've got your first calves on the ground and they're getting up there 6 months. What are you going to do with them? How are you going to market your beef? That's a really good question, and I've got some ideas and some thoughts for you. And so we'll start discussing that now. Okay, in my past video, what I discussed was taking your calves to the livestock auction and selling them just at the auction. That was pretty much the standard for a really long time. There really weren't a lot of options, especially in very rural communities. You know, you would have a lot of people. Most people would have their own cows and calves and that kind of thing. So your options were pretty much take them to the livestock auction and sell them there. Now with social media and so many people moving toward wanting fresh meat, fresh beef, fresh vegetables, and wanting to live a healthier life, along with the social media, there are so many more options available now that don't have to buttonhole yourself into one specific way or method of doing it. Now there are multiple different options. As I said, you could take them to the sale barn, and if you're looking for money, you know, say you need you really need the cash kind of right away, and you don't have time to search around and try to find a buyer or anything like that, then the livestock auction is a great, you know, option for you if that's the case. You take your animals up there, they sell for whatever the buyers are willing to take or to give. And then a few days later, within a week, you receive your check and it's a done deal and you don't really have to do any work. And if you want to do that, that's great. But I really think that there are so many other options right now that I really think you ought to consider. One option would be to get with a local butcher, a butcher that does a lot of butchering of fresh beef. Call them up and ask them if either if they purchase animals. Say you've got 2 or 3 steers that you think are about 1,000 pounds, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. See if they're interested in purchasing your steers. Many times they will do so, and there are several different ways that they may purchase them, whether that be live weight. Live weight is just like you see this cow right here. That cow, that calf right there, they are on the hoof, meaning they're upright and alive. Live weight also means the same thing. You know, they're alive, and that's how that they're going to be purchased. That's how they're going to be purchased at an auction as well. They're going to be alive. They're going to be run through the ring, and people are going to buy them on the hoof out of the auction. The other option that the butcher would have would be to pay you whatever the two of you decide between you is going to be a fair rate, or what they feel is a fair rate for hanging weight. Hanging weight is the carcass weight of the animal, meaning it's been the head and hooves, lower legs have been taken off. The hide has been removed, the internal organs have been removed, and you're looking at basically the carcass. The butcher will have a specific price that they're willing to pay for your animal or your carcass, and you can take it or leave it, but you need to know what they're going to pay you before you decide that, yes, I'm going to do that. But anyhow, that's a relatively quick, easy way to sell your animals as well. The thing is, you aren't going to be able to sell your animals generally at, say, 6 months. If you're a small homestead or even a rancher with 50, 60, 70 head of cattle, you many times will sell your calves at 6 months. That's a good time. Like in my area, that's a good time to sell because that's just about the start of winter. You're kind of done with calves at that point. All you've got to do is take care of the cows, which are typically pretty much able to take care of themselves. So you sell off your calves when they're about 600 pounds. At 600 pounds, they're not ready to be butchered. They're a long way from being ready to be butchered. So if you're going to sell to a butcher, you're going to need to hang on to that animal until it's heavier and filled out, and what we would say is finished. Finished being the animal has put on sufficient weight It's got plenty of muscle and a good marbling of fat in the meat. And at that time, it's ready for the consumer, whoever's going to purchase that animal as a packaged product and cook it up at their home. So you and the butcher can come up with your price. Now the butcher may say, okay, I'm only going to pay $3 a pound hanging weight. And if that's acceptable to you, then that's fine. If that's not acceptable to you, there are other options available as well. If your butcher is not going to pay what you'd like, or if they're not in the market to purchase cows right now, or steers, or finished heifers, or whatever it may be, that same butcher may have a list of people looking to purchase a whole beef or a side of beef. And if that's the case, typically you can get the phone number of that person. You can contact them and ask them if they're still in the market for whether they want a whole beef or a side of beef or whatever it may be. And if they are, the two of you can make a private sale, and you can determine, this is what I want for my beef hanging weight. Typically, if you're going to sell like that, if you're selling to a private individual, you're going to, in this type of a scenario, you're going to be selling a whole beef or a side of beef. If that's the case, typically it will be done as a hanging weight. And I've already kind of described what the hanging weight is. So you will tell the consumer, whoever's going to purchase the animal, I want $3.50 a pound hanging weight, or I want $7 a pound hanging weight. That's a price that you're going to have to determine, that you decide, okay, I've got this much money invested in the animal. I've paid for $1,000 in feed and pasture, or $2,000 in feed and pasture. I've got this much in vet supplies. I've got this much in equipment and etc. My time is worth a little something. So you need to determine what you're willing to take. There are people in my area that will sell for $3 to $3.50 a pound hanging weight. And to be honest, I just can't make it at that. Part of that is because of what I feed. I feed a higher quality feed than a lot of people. Due to that, I just can't sell for $3 a pound hanging weight. There are people in the area that also sell for $7, $8, $9 a pound hanging weight. And if they feel that their product is worth that, and if people purchasing from them also agree that the animal, or excuse me, that the product they're going to get is worth that, then no problem at all. It's a private contract, and everyone is happy with that. So if you determine that if your butcher is not able to purchase from you for whatever reason, and you get a hold of someone, then you can make a private sale of either a whole beef, which is actually very convenient, or you could do a side of beef, and then you'll have to call someone else for the other side of beef. In my situation, what I've done is I recently just sold a full steer, a whole beef, but then I had another nice steer that was really filled out as well, and I only sold a side of beef on that one because my wife and I, kept the other side of beef for us. I would assume that by raising your own beef, that you're going to want to keep beef for yourself, and that works out really well. If you've got one animal, one steer, you can find someone who wants to buy a side of beef and you keep the other side. Just two people, typically a side of beef is more than enough. For a growing family, say you've got 2 or 3 teenagers and you and your spouse, you're probably going to need a whole beef. A side of beef is probably not going to be quite enough. So that is another option, or these are another option on what you can do with your animals as they get a little older and you're trying to market and sell your product. Come back next time and I'm going to cover some other options in part 3. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. Have a great day.